Hello everybody, it is the me, GamePenguin21, and today, in an effort to make some of my commentary videos a little bit more timeless, as it were, I've decided that I'm going to start doing other forms of videos, not just based solely on the currentness of the gaming industry, because there are a few different smaller channels and smaller videos that I just haven't gotten around to that, since we're at a little bit of a lull right now in the current gaming space with I guess not too much to talk about. Right now, we are talking about Expert Review Zone, or in this context, Expert Zone Reviews, or something like that. Very strange of a name to be made here. The name that he had, Expert Review Zone, has since been kind of rebranded to him doing other things, so I don't think that that's his actual name, but I'm still going to call him Expert Review Zone because that's how I know him as. This is the same guy that we looked at that he basically had his Steam Deck, sold it, regretted that he sold it, and then decided that he is going to spend the rest of the time here compensating about it. He is also the person who said, hey, I don't like Elden Ring, but then went on to make a bunch of Elden Ring tutorials and went on to make a second video as to why Shadow of the Erdtree wasn't that good. So, kind of wonder why we're covering him this time. But what did he say this time? Well, apparently, a phone, and specifically the Samsung Galaxy Fold 6, is superior to the Steam Deck in accordance to this man. Why a phone that is very experimental and like worth 3 times as much, or is bought for 3 times as much, not as powerful as the Steam Deck, and requires other things to make it function like a Steam Deck, eludes me. But I guess we should get into it. So yeah, if you like what it is that I do, want to support me in any way, shape, or form, links down to everything description below. But let's get started here, shall we?
As someone who's owned both the Z Fold 6 new foldable phone from Samsung and the Steam Deck, I have to say I'm enjoying this gaming experience with the Z Fold 6 a lot more than I did with the Steam Deck. So today we're going to talk about why the Z Fold 6 is actually the superior gaming device with one of these controllers versus something like a Steam Deck or any of the other Windows handheld gaming devices like ROG Ally, Legion Go, MSI Claw.
Okay, so that is a very bold and interesting claim to make here. But even from the outset, you can already kind of see that there is a couple of problems with this that I personally have. Number one is, of course, this is a phone that we're talking about here. This is a phone that has the Samsung Galaxy tablet thing. It's a tablet and a phone, and it's like a fold out thing. Y'all know what I'm talking about here. The biggest problem is that this is still a mobile device, which I believe runs Android, if I'm remembering correctly. I think that Samsung stuff runs Android. I don't know. But, I mean, it's still a phone, right? How is this a better gaming experience if it's on the phone? Like, I'm not saying that there aren't great games on the phone, as we'll get into in a little bit here. But, like, even just looking at this specific screenshot as well that I happened to pause on, you'll see one of the biggest reasons why I don't think that this is actually that good. But we'll continue.
Impressed with the gaming capabilities on the Z Fold 6, especially when you get an Android controller that connects with it. And as you can see, I'm playing Diablo Immortal here, the mobile version, and even though it's a mobile game, this is actually pretty close to the PC version of Diablo 4, and it is quite enjoyable. You got all of the addictive gameplay that you can find in the PC version, and yes, it is a bit slimmed down, it is a bit dumbed down compared to its PC counterpart, but it's still an enjoyable experience to play games on this device. And here we have Call of Duty, the mobile version, and I have to say this game looks absolutely stunning for a mobile game, and it plays just like the PC game. You run around to shoot people, you reload, you can pick up items. It doesn't really feel like it's a mobile game, it just feels like it's a PC shooter on a mobile phone. Yeah, obviously it's been slimmed down and toned down a bit so it runs better on the mobile phone, but you can still get a good and enjoyable fun experience when gaming on these mobile devices. I feel like mobile games have come a long way over the past years, and the graphics and the gameplay of these recent mobile games are starting to look like something that resembles more of a proper PC game rather than just some tacky, rubbish, gimmicky mobile game.
Okay, so that whole section, I wanted to let him talk there for a bit. I might speed it up just a hair just to kind of get the point across. But essentially, he's basically talking about the two games, Diablo Immortals and Call of Duty Mobile. Now, I can't speak on Diablo specifically as it's not my cup of tea, but if anyone else has played that game or even heard of anything around it, there is the infamous line of, is this a out-of-season April Fool's joke? But, I digress. He also then goes on to talk about how both of these games are fairly good and are quote-unquote good to the PC counterparts but are dumbed down for mobile. So, are they just as good as the PC counterparts, or are they dumbed down and made more accessible to be on a mobile market? Because those two things don't equate. He also then says that this games look like PC-only games as well. No, they look like Xbox 360 games, but I'm glad that your eyeballs are from 2012. You might want to get them checked a little bit, but you'll also notice something else that's more subtle that he actually doesn't talk about with at least the Samsung Fold in and of itself. That's the fact that it's folded, right? So the thing with the Samsung Galaxy Fold that's been a big thing throughout the entire life of the Fold series is that the Fold series has the problem to where when you fold the phone enough, it gets this crease, and I've seen this like on a ton of review sites, and a ton of people have brought this up, but it gets this crease across the foldable part of the screen, if it has that at all, and it overall, right, just gets that crease, and it gets to be annoying. You saw it in the Diablo one. When it's folded up like that, all I can see is that crease there, and it's very annoying to look at. I don't know why. While the screen might be bigger like one way or the other way, overall, this doesn't improve the gaming experience because not only does Steam Deck already have thousands of games, but it's also going to, well, in theory, be cheaper. But let's talk about price with this next section coming up here.
This is quite a pricey device here. It's about £1,800 for the base model, or $2,200, and obviously the Steam Deck is way cheaper, coming in at around $500 or less, I think. And I think the ROG Ally is also like $500 or $600. So yes, these Windows handheld devices and the Steam Deck are a lot cheaper, and they play PC games, whereas this only plays Android and mobile games. But I still feel like this is a much better device than having a Steam Deck, and here's why. So first of all, let's talk about the price. Yes, this is nearly a $2,000 setup, but if you think about it, if you need a phone, which everyone needs a phone, everyone has to have a phone. So obviously you need a phone, plus you want a gaming device, and you're thinking of getting a Steam Deck. So you get like £1,000 phone, like S24 Ultra or iPhone 15 Pro Max. And then you also add on top of that the Steam Deck, which is like £500. It's going to be roughly the same price anyway. The Steam Deck plus your phone is going to equate to around roughly the same amount of money as it would cost to just get one of these Z Fold 6s. So you're not really saving money by getting a Steam Deck unless you don't get a phone. And then what are you going to do? Just use your Steam Deck as your only phone? I mean, you could use the Steam Deck as a phone because it's got internet, it's got browsers, you can download programs and stuff, you can even put Windows on it if you know how to. And it could become like a portable pocket phone that doesn't have any kind of cellular connection. You just use Wi-Fi calling, some kind of Wi-Fi hotspot, and then maybe it could become more than just a gaming device. But the Steam Deck has been built from the ground up to be primarily.
And the phone has been built from the ground up to be a phone. Now, I love the fact that he brings up several different examples in this, and we're going to basically debunk all of them very quickly, rapid-fire style. Now, the first thing that he brings up is that the price of the actual phone is around £1,500 or around 2,600 American dollars. Now, I'm not sure if that's exactly how much it is. I don't really care, but we'll use the £1,500 estimate that he gives us right off the bat here. So the £1,500, he says that you can get the equivalence of that by getting an iPhone and a Steam Deck for around the same prices, saying that you're not really saving money in the long term. No, you are, because of the following. Number one, while yes, a phone is something that you can possibly get a lot of, for the same $1,500, you're telling me that just the device for $1,500 is better than having two separate devices for two separate things that do different jobs. One of them tailored a lot towards gaming, not the Z Fold's thing, which is not tailored towards gaming at all, by the way, and a phone which you still have to play mobile games, meaning that you get access to two different storefronts, two different ways to play two different types of games, and both of them can operate under the guidances of having two different devices to do that with, that work interchangeably with one another. You get why this is stupid, right? Like, oh yes, everyone needs a phone. Sure, everyone needs a phone. You don't need a phone. I know people who don't have phones at all. But some people need phones for their job, or they need phones for this. And yes, let's say that a phone is $1,000. If the phone for the Z Fold is a $1,500 phone, that $500 that you saved for just buying just a regular used phone, you can put towards a Steam Deck, which is basically a computer, which has more games, a bigger storefront, and everything. Like you get my problem with that, right? He hasn't even gotten into the fact where he also mentioned at the beginning of the video that you need the other mobile Android controller to plug into it to make it equivalent to the Steam Deck, which is usually around $60 to $80, depending on where you buy it. I know my Backbone, the one that I have for my mobile phone, is around $80, but that's because it's a Backbone, and you can also have like other things to it, and it has a whole app and like syrup stuff behind it. But you can get why I wanted to talk about this video here. And he says that, oh yeah, it's not as good because for this device you can get the one device that quote unquote does everything, despite the fact that it has so many limitations that I'm just going to brush past here. Whereas with the other devices, you get two of them for the same price as this one phone, therefore allowing you to do more things. Like, excuse me?
Already a gaming device. So I guess my point is, you can get along in life without a Steam Deck or a personal gaming handheld device. But I don't really think many people can say they can survive in modern day life without a phone. You need a phone. So
that depends per job, that depends per how things work, and that usually depends on other stuff. Some people can't live without their computer. Some people can't live without their phones. It depends on your job. It depends on what you do. It depends on what you need and that stuff. You don't need a phone, and you don't need a computer or even a personal handheld device because those are just desires that people have. Also depends, so it's, you know.
So if you're going to get a phone, you might as well get a phone that can game instead of having a phone and a gaming handheld and a tablet. This is basically a phone, a tablet, and a gaming handheld device all rolled into one device. So obviously, yeah, you're going to have to pay a premium price for that. And
I don't think any of that is really a selling point. And also saying that it's a quote gaming device when it can really only play mobile games, again, not really. You're also talking about saying, I'm going to just bar the fact that he doesn't bring up like Xbox Game Pass, which can probably be played on this, by the way, which is a big plus. But you can also get, I think, Game Pass on the Steam Deck, or I do know that you can get Game Pass on the ROG Ally because it runs Windows. Maybe not on the Steam Deck. Maybe if you dual boot Windows or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a freaking horse whisperer. I'm stupid. But he's not going to bring that up. So it's very strange to me.
Definitely worth it because when I go traveling, I don't want to pack my backpack and pack a tablet and pack a gaming device and pack a laptop and pack my phone. That's like 4 things got to pack into my backpack. With this, I don't have to pack anything into my backpack. I just have to pack this. So
I love the backpack argument because I have actually done this weird experiment where I have a gaming laptop that I used for about 4 to 5-ish years throughout a lot of college. The reason why I had it was because I wanted a device that I can travel between work and home to be able to, game and do all my stuff on. However, when my dad decided to get rid of a laptop that he didn't want, which was more of a work laptop, it wasn't as powerful as my gaming laptop, I decided to get the Steam Deck because combined both of those, they were actually less, and it was actually more comfortable for me to have both the Steam Deck and this. And I'm pointing to the work laptop. That and my work laptop to be able to do both of the things at the same time, and it was actually lighter than my one all-in-one device laptop. But that's just more of a personal issue, or more of a personal thing, so I don't think that that's the same for everyone. It really depends. It's just very strange to me how this is like the second or third time he's brought up, oh, I don't want to pack this into my backpack because it's like, dude, different computers and different devices do different jobs. That's what technology does. My phone does phone things. My controller does controller things. Even my gaming laptop versus my work laptop versus my desktop versus even my Steam Deck. All of those do different jobs and are built differently. That's just how it works. Like, that's just how technology works.
Games that you want to play and you only want to play these games, then yeah, you might have a tough time adapting to a mobile gaming device. But you can always get Xbox Gaming Pass and do cloud gaming if your internet's good enough. And then you can play any game that's on the Xbox Gaming Pass on your cloud-based computer, Android phone that has Xbox Game Pass installed onto it. Obviously, not every game is on.
Again, you can't, like, I guess that I spoke too soon when he didn't bring that up, but he does bring it up here, so I'm just going to reiterate. You can get it on the device. You can also get it on the ROG Ally and some of the other, like, personal handheld computers and stuff. On Steam, unsure, and I don't want to say you can or you cannot, because you can dual boot Windows, which you might be able to get Game Pass. I haven't tested it, but I don't really have Game Pass to really test it in the first place. Put it down in the comments if you've actually done this before, or any Steam people out there, any Steam Deck people out there. But I would think that you can be able to do the same thing. Just it would take a couple more steps.
Xbox Gaming Pass, and there might be some games that are on Steam that you can't get anywhere else apart from Steam, and then I guess you might have no choice but to have to get a Windows gaming device. But if you can adapt to the Android mobile gaming ecosystem, I think you'll find many games that could scratch your itch. So for example, if you want to play a shooter, you can play Call of Duty. If you want RPGs, you've got Genshin Impact.
Motherfucker just unironically recommended the Genshin Impact. Kinda cringe, dude.
Final Fantasy games on Android Play Store. You've got Diablo Immortal, you've got some roguelites, you've got XCOM 2, you've got loads of games, strategy games. Rome, I think, is on it, and also Total War games are on it. So you've got loads of choice and variety when it comes to Android gaming.
You have loads of choice and variety when it comes to PC gaming as well, and in fact, the library grows exponentially every day. Oops.
When it comes to the battery performance, obviously this Steam Deck can't have a very long battery life because it's got fans and it's a much more beefier, powerful system. So the battery isn't going to last as long as something like a mobile device. Mobile device will allow it to game for probably 4 to 5 hours heavy gaming, maybe 3 hours at minimum. But the Steam Deck can probably last like 2 hours, maybe only an hour and a half if you do heavy gaming with high graphics and the system's going full speed. So I had an ROG Ally, and I could only game on that at full power with all the fans going for maybe 40 to 50 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes, depending on the game. And that's pretty rubbish.
Then turn down the graphic settings and don't play it on full blast. Put it more down to the recommended settings so you can get more stuff. Or you can, have the ability to do stuff and just don't unplug it. And what's also really funny is that the Steam Deck OLED came out, which actually addressed a few of these issues, and I believe they increased the battery life from around 2 to, I think, 3 to 4 hours, so it's on par with the current device that you're holding in your hand. Just depends on the model as well. They also upped the storage to, like, 1 terabyte and stuff, so it's pretty incredible. So
I can get, like, at least 5 hours of solid gaming out of this before I have to charge it. And if I play lower graphical fidelity games, like 2D games, I could probably squeeze, I don't know, over 6 hours of gameplay on this without having to charge it. Obviously, there's no fan, so it does get very hot here, but you can always buy a fan. There's plenty of mobile phone fans that attach to the back and give you some kind of cooling. So the great thing about mobile phones is, by default, they come very basic out of the box, but you can customize them. You can add a controller, you can add a fan to the back, you can add all kinds of stuff to the phone to make it into whatever device you want it to have. It's kind of like a chameleon because you can customize it and create it into, or mold it into whatever you want to create it into. So
I don't understand that at all. Holy crap. First of all, that analogy made no sense, how they can make it into a comedian, but I think he meant to say chameleon. But we'll just brush on past that. To him, he just says, oh, you can stick a fan on the back and do that, all this other stuff, without realizing that you can open up the Steam Deck. You will just void the warranty on it, unfortunately, but you can open up the Steam Deck and customize it. You can also give it micro USBs and put stuff on it as well. You can get the Steam Deck dock and make it into its own like portable PC by hooking up like laptop or screens and stuff to it. It's almost like it's a fully functional PC that allows you to do much more with the platform because it has a lot more of, say, an open operating system that you can actually customize to your liking. It has access to all of the games on Steam and allows you to customize your experience even more with the Steam options and stuff. And that it's a fully functional PC that Valve says, hey, you can rip this thing apart and you can even dual boot Windows and stuff on this if you really wanted to, but we don't recommend it. But you can do it because it's a PC. We don't give a shit. So, like, you're telling me that phone that you have is more of a chameleon in the sense that you can, quote, customize it more by sticking a fan on the back, which the Steam Deck comes with, installed, ready to go. You can also do it by buying a separate controller for a $1,500 phone, despite the fact that, again, at its highest price in at least a US American dollars, is around $650. I did have to look this up, but it comes with like 1 terabyte of storage space, and that's with an OLED screen and all that other stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Who gives a shit? But, like, for $600, roughly half, well, $650, practically half the amount of that phone, you get a more customized, more open, better actual experience of a PC versus phone. You get why I wanted to talk about this video. I hope you do. Let's finish this out, Jesus.
Want to create it into. So the reason why I decided to buy this phone instead of a Steam Deck, for example, is because I want a nice phone and I don't want to have loads of devices, loads of multiple devices to do different things. I want to do everything I want to do on the same device so that I don't have too much stuff cluttered around in my room. And it's nice to have a nice phone that does basically 99% of what you want it to do. Okay, it can't take photos and videos as good as a dedicated camera. It can't play games as good as a dedicated handheld game device. It can't really do things as well as a dedicated tablet or laptop. But it can do all of those things good enough for me, all rolled into one package.
Okay, and that's your opinion. I'm not going to dissuade you and say that your opinion is wrong. You can say all that stuff, and all that stuff could be true for your specific situation. However, what you're talking about is essentially what I'm going to call the jack of all trades, master of none situation. As in, this can play video games, and it can do stuff a tablet and phone can do, but it's not as good as having a dedicated device to that, like, say, I don't know, an actual DSLR camera, an actual videotaping camera. There are a camcorder that you can also buy for around $500, or a dedicated handheld that's called, like, either a Steam Deck that is made for gaming and can do all of the stuff that any PC can do just on a smaller, different form factor. Again, saying that this is, quote, superior to the Steam Deck is stupid, because you've also owned a Steam Deck at some point, not only went out and said that this was bad because of some of the things that you've listed, but also then, when you sold it, came back and said, no, this is actually a really good device, and I regret selling it, and now you're coming back saying that you didn't buy one in the first place. Make up your goddamn mind about your story.
Which I think is definitely worth it. So yeah, I decided to get this instead of a handheld gaming device. I guess my main wish and desire would be one day phones will become powerful enough to the point where you can just have Steam on the phone and download PC games onto your phone instead of having to have these watered down Android versions, mobile versions of popular games. I think it'd be so great if Steam, for example, made a Steam phone and it had Steam on it and it was like running Linux OS, and you could play, I don't know, Hades 2 and whatever game that's popular on Steam could play on the phone, and it should be able to work like that. I think in the future, as technology improves, the mobile phone technology will become so powerful that we will be able to play PC games on our phones, and Apple's making great advances.
Nope, I'm done. There's like 30 seconds left of this video. No, I'm done. I am so fucking done with what he just said. Holy shit. Okay, so let's just break down what he basically said. Well, I agree that at some point I do think that phones will have a very much a more power position in terms of gaming stuff.
Is in that zone. So they've got that new graphic chip on the iPhone 15, which actually lets you play console games like Resident Evil 4. So it can be done. It's just that developers need more incentive and more encouragement to port their games over onto mobile.
At the same time, what I also understand from this is that he's saying that mobile phones, like if Steam made a mobile phone thing, which looking at it, like how and why? And like, excuse you? Like, what do you, like, I mean, I guess that would make some semblance of sense, but they're in the PC market space. Why would they do that? Now, I'm also not sure that Linux itself could even run on a phone. Like, I don't think that's how that, I don't know if you can even do that, but I mean, whatever. At the same time, it's an open source thing. Maybe someone's made like a mobile version. But you're saying, like, oh, what if they just made a phone like this? Despite the fact that earlier again in the video, you literally contradicted yourself because you were like, oh, this phone, like you can already do, like, calls and stuff on this device. And, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, you know what? I think I'm done. No, I'm done. I need to just stop this video and stop doing that. Anyway, overall, is the Z Fold better than a Steam Deck? Fuck no. Is there a reason to have a Z Fold despite the fact that it's like 5 times as expensive? Not really. I mean, overall, the actual, like, phone is a phone, so in any case, I just can't care less about it. I like my phone, and I do have games, and I do play on my phone games sometimes, but that's for a different thing entirely. But who cares, all right? The Steam Deck and the phones are in 2 completely separate leagues entirely, and him trying to say that the Z Fold 6 is better at a dedicated gaming device is just fucking nonsense. At the end of the day, I think that that'll really about do it for my opinion on this. If you like what it is that I do, want to support me in any way, shape, or form, links down to everything in the description below. Please like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And, yeah, if you like my music or you want to listen to any of the music that I make, listen down to the description below in the Bandcamp. I do stream on Twitch every now and then, twitch.tv/GamePenguin21. I might end up getting suspended or even banned at some point. Maybe. I really hope that I don't. But at the end of the day, I think that that'll about do it. Thank you all so much for watching again. My name is GamePenguin21, and a peace. Off.